Welcome back to the Book Summaries channel. If you have ever felt like there is a sleeping giant inside you waiting to be woken up, you are in the right place. Today, we are mastering our destiny with Tony Robbins' massive bestseller, Awaken the Giant Within. This isn't just a book. It is a blueprint for taking immediate control of your mental, emotional, physical, and financial destiny. Tony Robbins begins by sharing his own story of transformation, moving from a tiny apartment washing dishes in his bathtub to living his dream life. He asserts that we all have a sleeping giant within us, a reservoir of untapped potential and talent waiting to be unleashed. Many people lose their dreams in the grind of daily life, forgetting that they have the power to change everything in an instant. The chapter emphasizes that your past does not equal your future unless you live there. Robbins introduces the concept of CANI, constant and never-ending improvement, as a philosophy for living. He explains that to change your life, you must first raise your standards. You must decide that good enough is no longer acceptable and demand more from yourself. This isn't about wishing for a better life. It is about deciding to have one. He challenges the reader to identify the areas of their life where they have settled and to reignite the dream of what is possible. Ultimately, waking the giant means taking responsibility for your life right now. This chapter posits that it is your decisions, not your conditions, that determine your destiny. Robbins argues that people often blame their circumstances for their lives, but in reality, every moment offers a new choice. He outlines 3 critical decisions that control your destiny: what to focus on, what things mean to you, and what to do to create the results you desire. A true decision is not just a preference. It is a commitment where you cut off any other possibility except the one you have committed to. Most people suffer from Niagara syndrome, where they jump into the river of life without a paddle and let the current take them wherever it goes. To regain control, you must grab the oars and steer consciously. Robbins encourages readers to make decisions even when they are scared, because decision-making is a muscle that gets stronger with use. The moment you make a new decision, you set in motion a new cause and effect chain. You have the power to change your entire life in a split second simply by making a different choice. Robbins introduces the twin forces that drive all human behavior: the need to avoid pain and the desire to gain pleasure. Everything we do, from the food we eat to the work we do, is motivated by these 2 factors. Understanding this gives you the key to self-mastery, because you can learn to link pain to behaviors you want to stop and pleasure to behaviors you want to adopt. Often, we are controlled by short-term pleasure that leads to long-term pain, like procrastination or overeating. To change a habit, you must reverse this wiring in your nervous system. You must reach a threshold where the pain of staying the same becomes unbearable compared to the effort of changing. Robbins explains that we are not driven by intellectual calculations, but by our neuroassociations. By consciously directing what we link pain and pleasure to, we can change our behavior automatically. This is the secret to lasting motivation. You become the master of your life rather than a slave to your impulses. Beliefs are the guiding principles that provide us with a sense of certainty about what things mean. Robbins describes a belief as a table. The idea is the tabletop, but it needs legs or references and experiences to support it. If you believe you are intelligent, it is likely because you have references like good grades or praise that support that idea. Limiting beliefs, such as "I am not good enough," also have references, but they are often based on misinterpretations of past events. The good news is that we can knock the legs out from under negative beliefs and build new, empowering ones. We can simply question our old beliefs or create new references through visualization. Robbins distinguishes between opinions, beliefs, and convictions, noting that convictions are beliefs charged with high emotion. To change your life, you must adopt beliefs that empower you, even if they aren't strictly true in a scientific sense. The question isn't, is this belief true? But does this belief support my goals? You have the power to choose what you believe. One of the most persistent myths is that change takes a long time and must be difficult. Robbins argues that change happens in an instant. It is the preparation for change that takes time. We delay change because we associate it with pain or the fear of the unknown. However, once we align our nervous system, the shift can occur in a heartbeat, just like a phobia can be cured in minutes. Robbins challenges the cultural programming that suggests rapid change is temporary or fake. He introduces the idea that we often use the belief change is hard as an excuse to avoid the effort of changing. To facilitate instant change, you must be willing to take responsibility for your own mind. You must stop waiting for a crisis to force you to change. By understanding that your brain can rewire itself quickly, you stop procrastinating. The moment you truly decide, the change is already done. Robbins introduces his proprietary technology for change, Neuro-Associative Conditioning, NAC. This is a 6-step process designed to break limiting patterns and install empowering ones permanently. Step 1 is to decide what you really want and what is preventing you from having it. Step 2 is to get leverage. Associate massive pain to not changing and massive pleasure to changing immediately. Step 3 is to interrupt the limiting pattern. You must do something unexpected to scramble the old neural pathway. Step 4 is to create a new, empowering alternative behavior. Step 5 is to condition the new pattern until it is consistent. This involves repetition and emotional intensity. Finally, Step 6 is to test it to ensure the change holds. NAC is based on the idea that our brains are constantly making associations. By consciously managing these steps, you can reprogram behaviors that have held you back for years. It is a practical toolkit for rewiring your own psychology. This chapter focuses on the power of focus and physiology. Robbins explains that whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what is missing or what is wrong, you will be miserable, even if you are successful. Conversely, focusing on what you are grateful for creates happiness instantly. He introduces submodalities, which are the fine details of how we code memories, like brightness, size, and volume. By changing these submodalities, we can change how we feel about a memory or a future goal. Furthermore, physiology dictates state. You cannot feel depressed if you are standing tall, breathing deeply, and smiling. Motion creates emotion. By changing the way you move your body, you can instantly change your chemical state. Robbins urges readers to adopt the physiology of success. If you want to be confident, stand the way you would if you were already confident. This mind-body connection is a rapid tool for state management. Thinking is nothing more than the process of asking and answering questions. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is the quality of questions they ask themselves. If you ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" your brain will find a disempowering answer like, "Because you are stupid." If you ask, "How can I use this to my advantage?" your brain will find a solution. Robbins emphasizes that questions direct our focus and therefore our reality. He provides a list of morning power questions designed to set a positive tone for the day, such as, "What am I happy about in my life right now? And what am I committed to?" By habitually asking empowering questions, you can change your emotional state and your access to resources. Problem solving becomes easier when you ask how instead of why. You must discipline your mind to ask questions that lead to answers, not dead ends. Words are not just labels. They are containers for emotion. The words you use to describe your experience actually become your experience. Robbins calls this transformational vocabulary. If you constantly say you are angry, you will feel different than if you say you are peeved or annoyed. By lowering the intensity of the negative words you use, you can lower the intensity of the negative emotion. Similarly, by intensifying positive words, using ecstatic instead of happy, you can amplify positive feelings. Robbins challenges readers to audit their vocabulary and replace habitual negative words with neutral or funny ones. For example, instead of saying, "I'm overwhelmed," try saying, "I'm in demand." It sounds silly, but it breaks the pattern of stress. This chapter teaches that by consciously selecting your language, you can shape your emotional destiny. You are the scriptwriter of your life, so choose your words wisely. Metaphors are symbols we use to explain our world, and they have a profound impact on our beliefs. If you view life as a battle, you will constantly be on the lookout for enemies and conflict. If you view life as a game, you will look for fun and strategy. Robbins explains that we often use metaphors unconsciously, yet they filter our perception of reality. Global metaphors like time is money or life is a test dictate how we behave. To change your life, you may need to change your core metaphors. He suggests adopting metaphors that support your happiness and growth, such as viewing life as a gift or a dance. By shifting the imagery you use to describe your life, you shift the way you feel about it. This chapter encourages you to become aware of the symbolic language you use and to ensure it is empowering rather than restrictive. A new metaphor can open up entirely new ways of thinking. Robbins categorizes emotions not as enemies to be suppressed, but as action signals meant to guide us. Negative emotions like fear, anger, or frustration are simply messages that something needs to change in our perception or our actions. Instead of ignoring them or wallowing in them, we should identify the signal. For example, fear is a signal to prepare. Frustration is a signal to change your approach. He outlines 10 power emotions that we should cultivate to create a vibrant life: love and warmth, appreciation and gratitude, curiosity, excitement and passion, determination, flexibility, confidence, cheerfulness, vitality, and contribution. By proactively planting these emotions in our daily life, we leave no room for weeds. Robbins provides a 4-step process for handling any emotion. Identify it, appreciate the message, get curious about what it offers, and take action. Mastering your emotions is the essence of mastering your life. A compelling future is the fuel that drives you through difficult times. Robbins states that people are not lazy. They simply have impotent goals that do not inspire them. To awaken the giant, you need a vision so exciting that it pulls you out of bed in the morning. This chapter is about goal setting, but with a twist. It focuses on the emotional why behind the goals. He asks readers to brainstorm goals for personal development, career, adventure, and contribution. Writing goals down initiates the process of making them real. Robbins emphasizes that the purpose of a goal is not just to achieve it, but who you become in the process of achieving it. He urges readers to dream big and not limit themselves based on their current situation. A magnificent obsession gives you focus and energy. Without a vision, people perish. With a vision, they thrive. Robbins proposes a concrete challenge to help readers gain control over their minds: the 10-day mental challenge. The rules are simple but difficult. For 10 consecutive days, you must refuse to dwell on any negative thought or emotion. If a negative thought comes up, you must immediately use the techniques learned. Change physiology, ask a better question, change vocabulary to shift it. If you dwell on a negative thought for more than a minute, you must restart the 10 days from scratch. The goal is not to ignore problems, but to stop indulging in a negative emotional state while solving them. This challenge reveals just how habitual our negative thinking is. Completing it breaks the addiction to mental negativity and proves to you that you are in control. It is a mental detox that resets your baseline for happiness and focus. This chapter serves as an introduction to the second part of the book, explaining the master system that controls our evaluations. Our behavior is the result of how we evaluate events, and this evaluation is filtered through 5 elements: our mental state, the questions we ask, our hierarchy of values, our beliefs/rules, and our reference experiences. Robbins compares this to a computer's operating system. If you want to change your life permanently, you cannot just change your behavior. You must change the master system that drives the behavior. Most people operate with a system that was installed randomly by their parents, society, and chance experiences. Robbins invites the reader to become the architect of their own personality. Understanding the components of your master system allows you to diagnose why you do what you do and how to change it efficiently. It is about aligning your internal psychology with your external goals. Values are the emotional states that we believe are most important to experience or avoid. Robbins distinguishes between EN's values, emotional states like happiness, love, security, and means values, vehicles like money, family, career. He explains that many people pursue means values without realizing that they are really after the emotional end state. We all have a hierarchy of values, and this hierarchy dictates our decisions. Some people value security over adventure, while others value adventure over security. This leads to completely different life paths. There are also moving away from values, states we do anything to avoid, like rejection or humiliation. Conflicts arise when our values clash, such as wanting success but fearing rejection. To take control, you must elicit your current values and then consciously redesign your hierarchy to support your destiny. You can choose to make passion or courage your top priority. Rules are the specific beliefs we have about what has to happen for us to feel our values. For example, you might have a value of success, but your rule for it is, I must be a millionaire and never fail. This is a rigorous rule that makes it hard to feel successful. Someone else might have the rule, I feel successful whenever I learn something new, making it easy to feel good. Robbins argues that most people have rules that are set up to make them fail. They make it incredibly hard to feel good and very easy to feel bad. He introduces the concept of threshold rules, conditions that, if violated, cause us to break off a relationship or quit a job. We must redesign our rules so that we are in control of our happiness, rather than making our happiness dependent on external events we cannot control. By loosening our rules, we liberate our emotions. References are the raw material of our beliefs, the experiences, memories, and information we have stored in our brains. We use these references to make sense of new situations. If you have only seen dishonest relationships, your references will lead you to believe relationships are painful. However, references are not limited to your own life. You can borrow references from books, biographies, and other people's stories. Robbins emphasizes that we can choose which references to focus on. We can remember our failures, or we can remember our successes. To expand your life, you must actively seek out new references, travel, learn new skills, meet new people, and read about great achievers. The more references you have, the more choices you have in how to interpret the world. You are not limited by your past experiences unless you choose to rely only on them. Imagination can also serve as a powerful reference. Your identity is the set of beliefs you use to define who you are. Robbins states that the strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. If you define yourself as a smoker, you will struggle to quit because quitting conflicts with your identity. If you define yourself as a health nut, exercise becomes automatic. Many people have limited identities based on past failures or labels given to them by others. To awaken the giant, you must expand your identity. You essentially need to reinvent yourself. Robbins suggests describing who you are now and then deciding who you want to become. You can adopt a new label, such as leader, lover, or creator, and begin to act in accordance with it. Changing your identity is the ultimate level of change because it shifts your entire standard of behavior. This begins this 7 days to shape your life section. Day 1 focuses on taking control of your emotional destiny. Robbins reiterates that the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. You are challenged to become aware of your emotional patterns. The assignment is to identify the emotions you experience most frequently and categorize them into empowering and disempowering lists. Then, you must commit to cultivating the empowering ones and weeding out the negative ones using the tools of physiology, focus, and vocabulary. It is about deciding that you will no longer be a victim of your moods. You are the source of your emotions, not the outside world. This day sets the foundation for the rest of the week, as emotional mastery is required to master any other area. Day 2 is about mastering your physical health. Robbins argues that you cannot live a giant life with a low-energy body. He promotes the concept that health is energy. Key principles include the importance of proper breathing to oxygenate the system and eating water-rich foods, fruits and vegetables, to cleanse the body. He discusses the lymphatic system and the importance of movement, specifically recommending rebounding or aerobic exercise. He also touches on food combining and the dangers of processed foods. The goal is to view your body as the temple of your spirit. You are challenged to define what physical health looks like for you and to commit to a regimen that generates vitality. Without physical energy, mental and emotional discipline is nearly impossible to maintain. Day 3 focuses on creating fulfilling relationships. Robbins claims that the quality of your relationships comes down to your level of caring and contribution. He warns against the law of familiarity, where we stop trying because we get comfortable with a partner. To keep a relationship alive, you must treat the person the same way you did at the beginning of the relationship. He outlines the importance of understanding your partner's rules and values. If you want a great relationship, you must focus on what you can give, not what you can get. He also advises identifying the warning signs of stress in a relationship and addressing them before they escalate. The challenge is to take the time today to tell the people you love exactly why you love them and to commit to being a giver in your connections. Day 4 tackles the topic of money. Robbins distinguishes between wealth, a feeling of abundance, and money, a medium of exchange. He identifies the 5 major obstacles to financial freedom: limiting beliefs about money, lack of a plan, lack of knowledge, lack of discipline, and the fear of failure. He introduces strategies for creating wealth, such as adding more value than anyone else, maintaining the highest standards, and protecting your assets. He specifically mentions the power of compound interest and the necessity of saving a portion of everything you earn. You must shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. The exercise involves identifying your negative beliefs about money and replacing them, as well as setting a concrete financial plan. Financial freedom is a vehicle that allows you to contribute more to the world. Day 5 is about integrity and your code of conduct. Robbins asks the reader to define what it means to be a good person. If you don't live according to your own standards, you will never be happy, no matter how successful you are. This creates internal conflict. Being impeccable means walking your talk and aligning your actions with your values. He suggests writing down a list of attributes of character that you aspire to, such as honesty, courage, and loyalty. You must then set the rules for what it takes to embody these traits. This day is about self-respect. When you know you are living true to your code, you develop a deep sense of inner peace and confidence that external validation cannot provide. It is about being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. Day 6 addresses time management, or as Robbins calls it, life management. He critiques the standard to-do list, which often leads to stress. Instead, he proposes a results-oriented approach. You should focus on the outcome you want, not just the activity. He introduces the concept of chunking, grouping related activities together to focus your attention efficiently. By focusing on outcomes, you realize that 20% of your actions produce 80% of your results. He also emphasizes the importance of changing your time frame. Sometimes we overestimate what we can do in a year but underestimate what we can do in a decade. The challenge is to stop being a slave to urgency and start prioritizing importance. Mastering time creates the space for the things that truly matter. The final day of the challenge is, paradoxically, about taking a break. Robbins emphasizes that life is about balance. If you are constantly driving and striving without recharging, you will burn out. Day 7 is dedicated to fun, spontaneity, and relaxation. It is a reminder that the purpose of all this self-improvement is to enjoy life. He encourages readers to do something purely for the joy of it. Go to the beach, play a game, or spend time with family. This balance prevents the journey of success from becoming a grind. Resting allows your subconscious mind to integrate the changes you have made. It is a vital part of the cycle of growth. The summary of this day is simple: have fun and celebrate your life. The book concludes with a powerful message about the true meaning of life. Robbins asserts that the secret to living is giving. We all have a need to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. Achieving goals and acquiring things brings temporary pleasure, but contribution brings lasting fulfillment. Whether it is volunteering, helping a friend, or creating something that improves the world, contribution satisfies the human spirit. Robbins challenges the reader to look beyond their own needs and see the needs of others. He shares stories of people who found their greatest joy in service. Ultimately, awakening the giant within is not just about personal success. It is about having the power to make a difference. The final call to action is to become a force for good in the world, ensuring that your life leaves a legacy of love and impact.